So I was at my local dollar store today and everywhere I looked, there was burlap. So I was actually there looking for new fall stuff and I found this burlap bag. You put it over your shrubs or your plants in the winter. And I was like, I have an idea. And then I went down the craft aisle and found this burlap sheet and thought, okay, a theme is starting to develop here. Further down the craft aisle, I found this roll of burlap. Now, obviously this is a craft product as opposed to like an outdoor product, but same. I was like, okay, my brain is turning. It's fall. What are we gonna make? You're gonna make a set of burlap pumpkins. So I've cut 21 inches and then I am using some crochet cotton to cinch this all together. The way I like to do this is to thread it through so I have a loop at the end. I am going to make sure to use the thicker part on the edge here as opposed to the big open weave. So I am going to pop it through right at the beginning, but in a couple because it does tend to fray. And this is what I mean. Now I'm going to loop it right through that. And when I pull it, I've got a nice little knot all ready to go. Once you have that all done, this is the fun part. You're just gonna gently, all the way along, gather it up, and you're gonna see this slowly start to turn into what we're going to make, the pumpkin. So I'm gonna pull it and pull it and pull it, and you can see there's still too much of a gap in here. So we have to pull it tight until that is completely closed. So again, just gently doing it until we have a complete closed top or bottom. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this thread to go right down the side here and sort of sew it together. Now that we have that done, I've tied the knot at the end of sewing that together. Leave it, don't cut it off. If you've cut yourself enough of the cotton, we're going to be able to continue on and close it with that. Now I save old pillows, so I'm gonna get this stuffed in and then we're gonna close it up. We're getting a little messy, but we're gonna get there. All right, so you can see where I'm at. I almost have this all done. By the way, welcome Winnie to the video. For those of you who are huge Hocus Pocus fans, that's where her name comes from. It's one of my daughter's favorite movies, and this little girl got that name. She's, what are you now? 16, 17 weeks, something like that. She's absolutely adorable, and she has her Nana's heart entirely. All right, now I was pulling this all together before I got completely distracted by this little beauty. So I have it pulled up, and as I'm doing it, I'm just putting it through and cinching it up, and I'm kind of holding it with my other hand. It probably makes more sense to watch than it does for me to explain, but I think it's coming together nicely. I think it's making a really, making a really cute, squatty little pumpkin, and I'm really pleased with it so far. Where are you going? Hi, where are you going? Okay, we're just gonna keep working. Is that all right with you? All right, cool. So, sewing and cinching and sewing and cinching. All right, she's found something more interesting to play with. So now you get to listen to her play with things in the studio. Okay, cinching it up, just a little bit at a time and taking the pressure off of it. You don't want it to break. This is a good time to kind of just make sure that all those ribs are in a good place. I'm gonna cinch it up a little bit more. We want this to be as small as possible so that we don't have to worry about losing any stuffing, and we can add our stem thereafter. Now, I'm gonna hold it and I'm just gonna make a couple of knots, and what I'm gonna do is literally go across the top, and I'm gonna do that a couple more times just across the top, just to keep pulling it tighter and tighter and tighter. And that'll be it. I have some nice thick 4-ply, I believe it's 4-ply twine from my dollar store. All right, so I've pulled that nice and secure. And now I'm just gonna go around. We're not gonna tie it at every one. So we've done it at that one spot, kinda aiming for this other one right across here. And the beauty is that you can kind of shape it as you do this. So we've shaped that a little bit there. Oh, Winnie, we'll just be a minute, we promise. I think she's getting bored. She's not getting enough of Nana's attention. I think we've got a really cute little pumpkin shape there. We're just gonna embellish the top, and I'm gonna start by unraveling my twine because I think it looks really nice and organic. I have this tiny little bit of greenery that's off a Dollar Tree stem, and I have my container of stems, short ones, short squatty ones, a little bit skinnier ones. So we're just gonna find the perfect one that fits on here. I think this is the one. I'm just gonna pop a little bit of glue on there, and then we're gonna add in the greenery. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put that greenery underneath it. So let's put that in the glue. 1, 2, 3, and then let's put a little bit of glue on top. I'm loving the twirly twine here. Oh, I love this. I love pumpkins. For this burlap pumpkin, I have a piece of burlap. It is 24 by 28 inches, and I think I'm going to keep the 24 and just sew it up, and maybe we'll cut a little bit off the top. Maybe we'll make it 24 by 24, but I feel like this is going to be like one of those taller pumpkins. Yes, Princess, what can we do for you? Would you like to come and say hello again? All right. Nana's baby. Say hi, everyone. Can you look up here? Can you look up here? Look, can you see yourself? Say hi. Say hi. Yes. I mean, it's hard to understand how I could possibly be in love with her, right? Right. All right, come here, you. Nana has to get back to work. I went over the stitching on the burlap with a little bit of hot glue just to make sure it didn't fray once we started stuffing it. All right, I've got a nice, even, clean stitch. I've added some glue on the other side so it'll make it a bit more secure. So what I'm gonna do is fold this up and use it. I just dropped my scissors on my foot. All right, where were we? I'm going to fold this up and use this as a guide to cut this in a fairly straight line. So I'm just kind of going about an inch past what we've got here. Oh my goodness. I guess I should be grateful that my foot is still intact. All right. Being the DIY craft hoarder that I am, I'm going to hold on to this piece because you never know when you're going to need a tiny little piece of burlap that, you know, will probably sit in the studio for 3 years. Then maybe I'll get rid of it. You guys too? Yeah. So before I turn this inside out, I'm going to do my running stitch all around the bottom. And then when I turn it around, it makes a beautiful clean edge for the bottom of the pumpkin. So same as always, just going to start a couple of rows down so it doesn't pull out. Use my loop. Nice and easy. And then our simple running stitch, and try to keep it as even as possible. just going along, stitching, and then as I do that, pulling it tight and cinching it as I go. Got it all cinched up, I've pulled it tight and I'm holding it. Now I'm just gonna do a couple of knots right at the end here and right at the seam where it's nice and thick so we get it really tight and secure. All right, it is stuffed, and I mean, it is stuffed. I have used the better part of an entire pillow in this, and it's hard. And that's so that when I wrap the cord around it to create the ribs, it's should make a beautiful shape. So next up, I'm just gonna do what I've already done, and I'm going to do my running stitch and tie off the top. We're going to use this part to create the stem or peduncle on this pumpkin, but first I want to add the ribs. So I'm going to start off by tying a little knot, and then I'm just going to wrap it around the pumpkin until we have the 6 ribs. I'm going to use the seam as the first one. I'm going to go all the way around, all the way up the other side. Whew. I'm going to go around the top. And then I'm gonna kind of go a third of the way over. I wanna do a really cool job here. Around, okay, about a third of the way over from that one. And around the top and around the pumpkin, squeeze a bit. And then we're gonna come up the other side. And just like a real pumpkin, it's completely uneven, but there you go. I'm gonna tie it off with that little piece that I left after I go round a couple of times just to secure it. Oh, I think this is gonna look so good. All right, like I said, we're gonna tie this off and then we're gonna start wrapping the top. So I've tied this off and I've wrapped most of the way to the top. I figured you guys didn't need to see that. Now, as I get closer to the top, I'm gonna start adding a dab of glue here and there, just to make sure this stays in the spot because I don't want it to slip off the top as we get close to the top, if that makes any sense. Now, I don't know how well you can see, but this is exactly what I was talking about. It just slipped up there. So we're just gonna go in with a tiny bit of glue. We don't want it to squeeze out, but we are trying to keep it on track. And this is gonna get a little more difficult as we get to the top, but that's why the glue is gonna help us. Almost there. Okay, now for the biggest piece of burlap that I could find at the dollar store. So this bag is 19 by 31 inches. I paid $3 for it and I haven't even opened it up yet. So I have absolutely no idea what to expect. Okay, oh, it's almost like a coffee sack. This is really cool. But rather than doing it this way and, you know, having the stem at the top, which I think would be enormous, I think we do it this way and maybe we get like a cool squatty pumpkin, which would just mean taking the top off. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Like a big, low, what do they call them? Cinderella pumpkins or something like that. I think that would be really, really cool. So let me get this organized and I'll be right back. I'm gonna try something a little different for the top, only because that was a lot of work and it didn't cinch quite as tightly as I wanted it to. It's gonna work, it's just not what was in my head. So for the top, what I've decided to do, I am literally just going to pinch this periodically. I'm gonna use the same thread and needle like I did before, but I feel like it's gonna be a lot easier, and then I can just leave one section open, stuff the heck out of it, and then cinch up the top. So let's try it and see if it works. Okay, slight change of plans. I have this pillow that after a wash ended up just kind of in one big round ball, and like you can see the fabric's all loose here. So I am going to attempt to put this in first and then do what I said with the thread. So this stuff comes apart really easy, so let's see if this works, shall we? Starting on the thicker part so I can get a real good hold for the thread. And remember, I'm using like a crochet cotton. That's what my mom always called it. It's like an embroidery floss or something like that, but it's just thicker. It is not thread. That will not work at all. I've tried it. So I'm thinking if I go like exactly to the other side, but what I'm gonna do is fold it over and see, maybe I should roll it. Let's just, because I don't want it to break the burlap, if that makes any sense. I don't mean break, what am I trying to say? Fray the burlap. I don't want the burlap to come apart. All right, that seems to have worked. I just rolled it down. So I'm gonna go through that a couple of times just to hold it in place and then kind of keep doing it with the other sections. Can you guys see that at all? I need like 3 different cameras to kind of capture all this. All right, I think that'll do the trick. One more, just to be on the safe side, because it is dollar store burlap. But as I'm doing this, I'm getting so many other ideas I could use these for. I'm feeling like I need to head back before this stuff is gone from the dollar store. All right, so that's nice and tight because I've been through a few times. I'm gonna do the same thing with all the others. And I think we're gonna have our like really cool flat pumpkin when I'm done. Earlier this year, we took a trip to Costa Rica. I'd never been there before, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I picked up these little tiny pieces of driftwood on the beach. So I'm gonna use one of these on this pumpkin. I am absolutely in love with the way it came out. Because of the way I cinched it together at the top, you can see I don't need to add anything to create the ribs. It completely just did it on its own. But that also means that this gigantic pumpkin needs a big stem. So I'm gonna use that. I am gonna decorate the top just a tiny bit like I did on the others, but keeping it really, really simple. And I think this is special because I collected it from a beach. Let's just embellish the top of this really simply. I already did the unraveled 4-ply twine on here because it was way easier to put on here than it was the other way. All I did was tie a knot in the middle of 3 strands and unraveled it and then glued it right down there. And I'm trying to cover some of the glue that I used to put the stem on. So I'm just gonna use some of these pieces and we're just gonna pop it on. I wanna keep it simple. I want it to look good with the other pumpkins. So let's do this. A little bit more hot glue in there and plunk it right on top. Like that. And now that one's done. You guys, you know what I'm going to say here. I am absolutely head over heels in love with these burlap pumpkins. And to think they started out life as 3 different kinds of burlap that I found in the dollar store. I am so glad I stopped by that day. These are absolutely my new favorites. I can't wait to style these. I think I'm going to put them over by the fireplace. I think they'll look really, really pretty. Because eventually my family's going to need the dining room table back. In the meantime, you guys, I hope you loved watching me make these as much as I enjoyed making them. Can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, here's another video I thought you might enjoy. And don't forget to follow me over on Instagram where I share DIYs, but as well as some of the daily shenanigans of our family life. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye for now.